Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be working through some things that I've realized I have done incorrectly in Blender and through my import journey. So I hope you bear with me. This will be a bit of going back to stuff that I have done, but it has been quite a hindrance for me because now I actually have to stop coding and start making the stuff from scratch. So I absolutely refuse to do topology. But I'll explain what was going on. Basically, I had an old mesh, and that mesh came from the Roblox toolbox. And because it came from the toolbox, Roblox was able to unpack it in a way that didn't cause me any performance issues. But here, I have a lot of performance issues. So, what I did was I had to redo it from scratch, and it was really hard because I couldn't get the shape quite right. Like I'm not a big blender person, but this is the solution I made. I just made a bunch of, well, they're not really that interlocking, but like, just planes that are kind of almost crossing each other. Because Godot struggles with these things a lot. So what would happen is these are supposed to be like the wild areas in my game. In my game, I basically had a store, but the store was intentionally bad, so that you had to go out and get the seeds you wanted that way. And then these are going to represent the forests. Obviously, it does not look like a forest right now, but eventually it will. And yeah, I figured out today, I learned that you can. This is just a bunch of planes and stuff, but the transparent pixels, as you could see in my lavender, they're not there, and I figured out how to get that done. So they just appear here as black because they've gone through Blender and came back. But the idea here is that this was code that I made so that there would be like a life cycle, right? Because I wanted the fields to show different flowers at a time because I had just one world in Roblox, and then they would die, wither and die. And let me see if I fix the bug. There's a bug where if they start dying and I put that, it should undo the dying animation. It does not do that here. So in Roblox, when I did that, it actually undid the dying animation, and my code was bound to wait until the animation completes, because they both use highlights in Roblox. But because that didn't happen, it had a bug. So I actually had a separate timer. I had to change that into a separate timer thing, and I think that was one of the last things I managed to push out before Roblox said like you can't update your game unless you've ID verified or something. So this is actually quite interesting. So basically, when the other flower, this one I made myself, so I had no issues exporting it. But I do miss how I used to make these. I used to make them on the 2017 version of Unity, but now I can't even log in. I can't get past the login screen because they've disabled it. Yeah, so the idea is that you have these wild places, and they go on a like a rotation thing. I must say the code does look a bit bulky, but it was easier to understand than in Roblox, because in Roblox I actually had some issues. Like, for example, it would not make them die. As you can see, when they well started, like this flower and this flower dying at the same time, it would not do that. I would have added them to a function of a queue, and then it would kill this one, kill that one, kill this one, and so on. And then eventually, like after an hour of the server being on, which never happened, by the way, I did not get that many players. But after a while, you would just have the queue would be like just full of plants dying. So the game was kind of stalemated. Right now, everything is faster, so I gave them like an age property and stuff like that. So it is done a lot faster, but I don't know how I'll do this in the standalone game. To be honest with you, I did not want my game to be standalone, to be like, oh, I have RPG elements, oh, I have this, I have that. I just feel like I have to do that now to kind of motivate the player to actually understand the game. But yeah, I'm kind of working on my art style. As you can see, I'm not the biggest Blender person, but we learn as we go. So I'll show you right now in Blender how you do this. Is it this one? Is it this one? I think it's this one. You basically have to put the alpha value into the alpha. Is this showing on the screen? Yes. So this alpha, you just have to just pull that, and then the transparent pixels are no longer black and they're actually transparent. And then I just did a bunch of, you know, going into UV editing, selecting and stuff. But right now I have Control Jade and I refuse to do topology unless absolutely necessary. But if you are good at Blender, this is the other bottleneck that Godot has. It does struggle with complex topology, especially when you click Control J. But so far, for the purposes of this game, as you can see, I can finally jump. Not like 2 videos ago when it was extremely laggy because I imported that one flower. I'm working right now on importing all my flowers and adding the actual amount of flowers I wanted to do before I move on to authoring, which is the other thing I have to do if I want to make a standalone game, and it is that I actually have to make a storyline and not rely on the fact that this is just a hangout spot that I wanted to make where you just learn about plants on the side. Yeah, but most coding stuff is done. That's kind of why I'm offline, because there's not really much else to do except actually do the work, except actually just import stuff, fix my dictionaries. I can show you the dictionaries right now. Main menu, quit. Where am I? Dictionaries. I have so many different things that I have to work on. Like the quest dictionaries. Oh yeah, this is the other part of my quest system. So I actually made it myself, right? So I gave it like, ignore the functions, please. I gave it like 2 big variable dictionary things. One of them just has the quests in groups. So after scissors, you have get seed and so on. And then order 4, just in case I wrote it in the incorrect order. Like I do have to double check everything. And then I have the NPCs who can give what. Because for example, let's say I have a tutorial that uses more than one NPC, but that is not the case in this game. So the baker thing does not exist. It was just a placeholder from the Roblox toolbox quest giver thing, and I just used that old code that I had in Roblox and just translated it, quote unquote. Yeah, so that's an auto load. That's how you're able to get the functions even without naming the class, and that's actually good. So the reason why when you go to project settings and you try to put an auto load, where is it? Globals. Yeah, so the reason why, for example, I have S item save instead of storage save is because I named the class, and then it's so annoying because in some parts of the code I use that name of the class, and then in other parts I just use the auto load. And why is that the case? I have no idea. I can show you. No, not the storage. The storage UI would have this. So if I control F, S, item save, I call that 6 times. If I go to storage save, I think I converted it. Wait, what's it called again? Yeah, storage save. Okay, so I guess not. I guess I was wrong. But there are some cases where you're going to see that the code will error in your, Python compiler thing. It will be like, you actually can't call the static function for this, and you actually have to call the static function for that. It's kind of weird. But yeah, that's kind of what I've done so far. There's not really much to do except realize my mistakes. So another thing, what I was doing is how I fixed my stuff here. I just want to say you do have to apply scale, so you do have to think about the scale, because everything here is scaled down, and then Control A and apply transformations. I did explain that in the other video. But I decided instead of exporting the whole thing, I just selected these 2 and I clicked export selection, and it did not export selection. So right now in my Godot files, I have the corrected thing and it's just the entire thing sitting there. And then what you do is you right click, you open a new inherited scene. I'll go to the 3D view. And you just take what you want and then open the right scene and paste it and apply the right transformations and whatever. Yeah. So my problem with the add-on is right here that I've first started using the items the way the inventory add-on had them, which is that they are like their own scenes. Each one is its own scene. So and then because I added the idea that there is this thing here called tool preview, where when I have selected the item, if it has a preview, will show it. And then I deleted that mesh and then I replaced it with this mesh. What ended up happening was I have to manually drag this and put it here in the tool preview. So those are the problems that will make work a little bit tedious. Of course, it's just a few clicks, but given the amount of species I do want to put into the game, and I don't just want to make flowers, I also want to make other elements of nature, and with all of its complexities, I am thinking about changing the way I do the tool preview. But for now, I'm not going to be coding. I am going to be working on the 3D modeling and learning stuff about Blender as much as I do not want to. Learning stuff about Blender against my will. But this far it does look nice for its simplicity. Like, it's all the same material. I didn't layer the flower the way that it looks like in real life, and yet it ends up looking like the flower in real life. It's not even as high up as it should be. As you can see in the game, it does look a bit flat. But I think that this will be a problem in the future. I mean, obviously this far is fine, but like with other stuff where my art style was very rudimentary and Unity-like, we'll see how it goes as it develops. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm working with right now. So if there's a specific thing you want to work on, or you want me to explain how I did that specific thing in Roblox, like, just let me know in the comments. I am reading. Yeah, I don't think there's really much else to do except import the meshes and redo them all as much as I can. And yeah, I think that's it for now. The rest of the videos, I think, for the next period will just be normal devlog stuff, like not something you can learn from, but rather something to keep me motivated to remember that I'm doing this. Okay, but thanks for watching anyways. See ya!